Hey everyone, welcome back to Bachelor Happy Hour. I'm Joe.
And I'm Serena.
And we are here to recap overnights. Also, something I want to just plug right at the beginning, because I will be looking at my phone because that's where I keep my notes, but you'll be able to see me look at my phone because these new episodes are going to be on YouTube starting today.
Yeah, for everyone that wants to throw us on their phone or their TV and watch us chat to one another, you can find all of our episodes on the Bachelor Nation YouTube channel.
Watch away. I have a little bit of a tan right now because I was just in Florida. So, if you guys are wondering,
If you're watching this.
if you're watching, yeah. Okay, overnights. Overall, what did you think of the episode?
I thought it was good, pretty standard, pretty smooth. No shocking moments, no drama. I personally really like the sit down chats, the girl to girl sit down chats that they've started to incorporate into the Fantasy Suite episodes. I think it adds a little something that's necessary. And I like to see the cameos from Bachelor Nation favorites. And yeah, I think it's a perfect time in the season for these moments of like support and advice from past contestants because it is probably the most emotionally complicated week.
Yeah, when you put it like that, I agree.
Okay, how did you feel prior to me saying that?
I don't know. I don't have anything against them. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, like,
You don't feel like it adds a lot for you?
yeah, like
See,
it's not too, but when you say it like that, it makes a lot of sense because I guess it is important to get advice from someone that's done it before because, like it could be confusing.
mhm.
So that I think that makes sense. But like as a viewer, I'm not like popping out of my seat to like hear this
No, I
conversation.
get that. It's not necessarily juicy, but I will say I feel like it's very telling who they get matched up with. I feel like you can pull a lot of information from who is talking with who.
I also think they're going to start switching that up.
No, and as they should, but as of right now, it's given away some stuff, in my opinion, on where the rankings are at. We got Katie Bigger, who's got engaged. We
Yeah.
got Rachel Nance, who was third, and we have Daisy, who was second. We've got someone from every position. So, like for me, I'm like, okay, what are we trying to say here?
Yeah.
How did we match up who with who? Is this giving away some predictions, right?
Well, first up is Juliana, and she has a call with Daisy. So, are you saying you think Juliana is number two?
I think that as of week 3, I feel like as a viewer from this pairing and from just watching the entire episode, Juliana is falling in that second place spot at the moment in terms of where Grant's feelings are at this specific week. I also think that they're pairing people up based on similarities of their experiences. Like we see Rachel and Zoe talk, and Rachel during her fantasy suite week had the least time with Joey out of all 3 of the girls, and Zoe's also in that position. So it's not just like where maybe they're ranking, but also who has something in common with who.
Didn't correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Daisy send herself home?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
She did.
Okay.
But I mean, I think had she not sent herself home, Joey would have sent her home
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
think he was going to inevitably end up with Kelsey.
I think out of the 3 girls left, who I could potentially see sending themselves home would be Zoe.
You felt like Zoe might send herself home this week.
Yes, I
I
thought there was a chance.
I kind of thought that going to the episode and then hearing her talk with Rachel, I was like, oh, she's like way more in on this than I maybe expected her to be.
I thought with their date because it was like also like Zoe's like I want to get to know him more, and they're like you can't talk for the yoga date. I was like that could be a problem.
Definitely a problem. But let's back up and start with Juliana's one-on-one date. So what did you think of her conversation with Daisy? She kind of opens up about the fact that they have said they're falling in love with each other, which is obviously a big deal at this point, and she talks to him about the fact that her ex had cheated on her a lot. In her words, she said he had a bunch of chicks on the side.
Yeah.
And Daisy kind of said, I saw a lot of myself and Juliana and encouraged her to just like relax and open up. They feel like their similarity here was they both had their guards up on their own seasons.
Yeah, I think Juliana did that. So I think whatever the advice Daisy gave her, I think she put it into play, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like all three of the girls actually put the advice they were given into play.
I mean, for me, I would say if if I was a contestant, the conversation where I would have felt the most motivated or just like really excited to be here
Hmm.
was Katie.
Oh
I
yeah.
think Katie really laid it out. Like if I, because
Well, she had a really intense fantasy suite week and went through a lot and still ended up with the lead, which was Zach, and they're still together and
yeah,
very in love. So like that is not only the goal, but just a great person to get advice from.
yeah,
But I think Juliana and Daisy's chat was good. It was
yeah.
sweet. It was good. It kind of teased where Juliana was going to take her one-on-one time with Grant,
They
which they go ATVing, four wheeling. What is it? Is it an
ATV,
ATV?
yeah, ATV, four wheeling.
I think those are different
I
things.
think they're the same thing. I think an ATV is a four wheeler.
Well, yeah, it definitely has four wheels.
Yeah, it's an ATV. It's a four wheeler. It's like
But I think an ATV is like roofless and it's like a more of like a big bike situation, whereas this had two seats next to each other.
mm, I don't know.
Okay,
I mean,
well, they were on a moving vehicle,
they were
splashing through the mud.
yeah. We see an ATV. We're gonna call it an
I
ATV for
really
the
don't. I
sake of
don't
this.
think
For
it
the sake,
is.
okay, fine. They were in a moving vehicle. We see a lot. We see a lot of those dates. Um,
Yeah, we've seen this date before.
yeah.
We see it every
I
season.
don't know personally. Like something's. I mean, something's still missing for me with these two.
I don't know what it is yet,
Yeah, but
though.
because she does open up, she opens up about being cheated on. I think she opens up about like being scared of being in a serious relationship, and like they are really, and they're at the step now of engagement.
Hmm.
Um, I think Grant receives the information well. I think he handles it, and he seems to really like her.
No, they definitely seem to really like each other. I agree with that. And I always say like I can't even imagine how difficult this process would be for someone who was cheated on, let alone it sounds like she was cheated on multiple times by this person to then come in and have it be you're dating someone who's dating other women and then there's fantasy suites with other women. Like it's got to just feel very triggering. I think Juliana's just been such a slow burn. I think it's evident her connection is not as developed as Latia's.
Yeah,
Like when I watch it, I feel like when I watch Juliana and Grant, I'm watching like a developing new relationship. Where when I'm watching Latia and Grant, I feel like I'm watching two people that have been together for a very long time.
I agree.
So like it's just hard to feel like Juliana and Grant are like end game when I just don't feel like they're there yet because Juliana has really only started opening up in the last few weeks.
And she's still, and it doesn't. It's not really giving off that she's completely like over her past relationships and being
Really?
cheated on. I think she's still, I mean, I just think she's still like struggling a little with it, which is normal,
Yeah.
but it doesn't, it like, I don't know. When she opened up to Grant, it felt like this is potentially like the first guy she's opened up to. And that's
Yeah.
pretty like,
I see what you're saying. And I think that we are often surprised by contestants that come on and open up so fast, so early. We're like, whoa, give it a week or two, have a
yeah,
little fun, flirt a little. But I'm really seeing how late she's opening up now. She's out of that middle pocket to where we're like, okay, he definitely really likes her because she's opening up at a much later time than we see often. Like usually this would be something that comes out on the one-on-one
on the
date
one-on-one date. Yeah.
before hometowns,
Yeah.
right? Or like during hometowns. But we've gotten through like a lot of milestones. But she also said that when she came on the podcast that she's someone that takes a long time to open up.
I mean, she told us in the podcast that she told him, I don't want to date till later,
Yeah.
which is a crazy move.
Yeah, but I mean it's worked out for her so far, He seems to maybe her pace aligns more with what Grant's pace is.
I
Maybe he's also someone that is not comfortable with all this like intimacy and opening up until later on, and that's why this is working.
I actually agree with that because I feel like when Latia starts mentioning children, there's a little bit of hesitation from Grant,
Mm,
and like we don't get that from Juliana. So
no.
that could be a point in Juliana's favor. I will say Juliana said something at the end of the date. She obviously agrees to go into the room, the overnights. Um, and she said distance is hard when he's with other girls. And like that's gotta be if you are really in love with the lead and you are first up,
Yeah.
that has gotta be almost like next to impossible.
Yeah.
Like that's really hard.
Well, because you've got to kind of be like, how do I play this? Like, do I go all in and try to like seal the deal here with this guy and like really be vulnerable and like spend an amazing night together knowing that like I've got to now sit on that for 2 days wondering if he has like developed a better connection with someone else or had a better overnight with someone else, or do I kind of hold back a little bit to protect my own feelings? And like I don't know, I feel like the first fantasy suite might be the hardest one.
Oh, it has to be. I mean, it really has to be.
But then the last one, you're sitting all week wondering what the hell he's doing with the other girls.
Yeah, but then you get some confirmation from him once you're in the
Yeah.
fantasy suite.
You don't.
You'll at least get a feel for it.
Yeah.
Where when you're first up, it could have went like it could have been the best overnight date
To that point.
to that point, and then like the
And-
next one could be better,
Yeah.
and you have no idea.
Yeah.
And now you're sitting there spiraling, and
Whereas if you're the third, you're gonna be able to sense if you're like if the other ones were like amazing and he's like more reserved, or if you might be in that kind of like leader spot.
and like it's part of the show, but there's not one single person in the world. I mean, well, I guess like swingers and shit, but like there's nobody in the world that's like, oh, I want the person I am in love with to be
Hooking up with other people.
intimate with someone else. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? That's
Yeah.
like that's not an easy pill to swallow.
No,
and
it's
and it
not.
is something when you like if you agree to go on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, it is something that you have to be okay with, but not easy.
No, not easy at all.
Mm-mm.
Not easy at all. But they end the day. It seems to go well. Juliana does say she wants Grant to be her person forever, which I feel like is kind of the first time I'm hearing her say that of like, yeah, this is like, I don't know. I feel like up until this point, I'm like, does she want to get engaged to him? Does she not? Like, where is she at? And I feel like now we're starting to see her put her foot down a little bit more and be like, no, yeah, he's the guy that I want. I want to end up with him at the end of this.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
To make planning the perfect beach vacation easier, Beachbound launched the perfect beach.
The final details, ideas and inspiration, artistry from sparkling. My grandparents with
With your apps. It can be tuned to do just what you need.
Times of congestion. Or at T-Priority.
know each other or now know each other. Matt, Jen, trans, ex.
In some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Also, random Juliana fact. I don't know if you saw on social media this week. She was posting with Jen, trans, ex-boyfriend. What was his name?
I think Zach.
No, it wasn't Zach. It was a different white boy name. But anyway, they were together. They obviously know each other or now know each other. Matt, his name is Matt.
Yeah, I remember him.
Okay, they were seen together.
Okay, yeah, because what they're friends, I'm assuming.
I guess they were either friends, I don't know, prior to the show or have become friends since. If they become friends since, that's super random. If they were friends before the show, that's just like a crazy small world.
Yeah, I would love to hear. I would love to hear his take on the show because he
Matt's take?
Yeah, because he had a very strange experience.
Yeah, but I mean, he knew what he was walking into with his strange experience, kind of.
Yeah.
But maybe
It's random. I mean,
So
that's
random.
a random pairing.
I
but-
know. Just thought we should call that out.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah,
a
well-
fun random fact. But anyway, jumping to Zoe, who's next. She had her one-on-one chat with Rachel, who also had, as we said earlier, the least amount of time going into Joey's top 3. I guess Kelsey and Daisy must have both got 2 one-on-one dates, if that was the case.
Kelsey and Daisy.
for her to have the least one-on-one time, or maybe she just like
I think
didn't
I
get as
think
much extra time or something.
yeah, maybe.
And it was mostly just like a positive, uplifting conversation. Nothing too juicy. Rachel was uplifting Zoe, saying like, ask questions, be intentional, but also like have fun, enjoy it, which I think is good advice. People need to have more fun on this show sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. But like if I'm Zoe and I get Rachel, I'm like,
I'm not the one.
damn.
Especially when I hear that Latia got Katie bigger.
But not even
Not saying we like one better than the other, just like Rachel went home after Fantasy Suites and Katie is engaged.
Well, if I'm Zoe, I'm just going back and like just matching it up in my head of like, oh, I have the person who also didn't get a one-on-one date, who also
she had a one-on-one date.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she had a one-on-one date in Spain. Remember they did that like Spanish dancing date?
Oh, yeah.
But like
Okay.
again, not a lot of time compared to the other two.
Not a lot of time, and just like also goes home this week.
If I'm Zoe, I'm chatting with Rachel. Great conversation, obviously. We love Rachel, but I'm putting the pieces together. I'm going on my one-on-one date. I'm shutting the fantasy suite door and I'm looking Grant dead in the eye, being like, am I going home this week? Like, be so for real with me right now. Because I'm picking up what's getting put down in front of me.
I believe you would do that.
I know, but no one does. No one does.
I don't believe a lot.
Maybe
I
you
don't.
wouldn't do it. Maybe I think I would because I've never been in that position. I feel like I would though.
I think you would.
Yeah.
It's part of your personality, but I don't think a lot of people are like, you're very forward.
Yeah, that's true.
You are also, I think you would have, you're also somebody that probably would have been able to shut off her feelings a little bit before, like, you would have asked that question with like your guard up.
Well, I would have asked that question. I would only ask that question if I was pretty sure that I was going home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if I thought I was ending up with him, my question would be, are we ending up together?
And if I was him, I would be like, you gotta wait and see.
I know you would do that. Anyway, so Zoe says, I want to leave Fantasy Suites knowing he's choosing me. That's my man. So all three of these girls are in. All three of these girls are ready for the proposal, which we don't always see.
Mhm.
Usually someone at this point is like still feeling hesitant, still feeling unsure. And I feel like it was Juliana, but I feel like they've all kind of gotten to that point where they're like, all right, I just want to know that I'm the one and I can, move into the next few weeks knowing I'm getting engaged. But the date is quiet yoga. Red flag. Terrible sign. Terrible sign for Zoe.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for her this whole day. She's going in being like, I want to chat.
I need to know. I need, like, he knows a lot about me. I need to know some more about him. And then it's like, shut up and do yoga.
Literally. And like, she clearly doesn't like yoga. She's saying it. Grant clearly doesn't like yoga. So not only do they have to stay mute, they're doing an activity that neither of them enjoy. So they're just like silent and miserable.
Yeah, but that's also,
terrible.
but that's a good way to bond. That's like,
because you can talk shit about it after together
Yeah.
and be like, oh my God, that sucked, which
Yeah.
is like, amazing bonding.
yeah.
But I would just feel like it was an hour of wasted time when you get so little time in this process to be doing something for an hour. I mean, I guess a lot of the one-on-one dates aren't necessarily like conversations, but you can at least like laugh together and make a joke and like kind of create like small pockets of connection. I think it's hard when you're on your own mat doing your own thing, not engaging.
Yeah, they were laughing a little bit. They were chuckling.
Yeah.
I think I
You think it wasn't that bad?
no, and I also think like for Zoe, it was probably like this is like worst case scenario, and I think when you go into something where it's like this is like horrible,
Right. Your expectations kind of go out the window.
yeah, the fact that they were able to have fun with it probably made them feel a little closer.
That's true. That's a good way to look at it. So then we go to the night portion. Zoe kind of just talks about how she felt really uncomfortable doing yoga and they bond over that. And then she asked Grant to tell him a little bit more about himself.
I wrote Grant said maybe we are what we are supposed to be.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, he did say that.
To her face?
Exactly, like right to her face.
Maybe
And
we are what we're supposed to be.
maybe we are what we're supposed to be.
Like basically like this has gone as far as it's going to go. We're just meant to be, a couple on The Bachelor.
Yeah. And
I can't believe that went right over my head.
I can't believe you didn't catch that either.
Yeah.
And then I wrote Zoe said hard to crack having the favorite color. Oh,
It's interesting. She said heard that she said he's hard to crack.
Yeah.
Because I think Zoe would be considered someone that's hard to crack.
I think Grant's hard to crack.
No, I agree with that. But
And then they also had, they're having the favorite color combo at this point. That's not good.
No.
No,
What?
if you're having the color usually the color combo comes up during a first date when both parties know this is as far as it's gonna go.
Like, way down the line, like as a joke. Like, oh, what's your favorite color? Because you
Yeah.
know what? No one has one and it's ever changing.
Yes. And like nobody cares either.
No one, it's not it's not important.
Like,
it's
I
not an
think-
important answer or question.
I could care less about your favorite color. I also could care less about my favorite color.
No, exactly.
Like, I am
That's
so-
the most important part of
I
that
am
statement.
so not interested in colors.
What is your favorite color? Do you have one?
It's ever changing, but I would say like if I had to like lock it down, like favorite color, probably like a forest green.
Yeah. Love that.
Thank you.
It reminds me, what's that song from Frozen that Olaf sings? It's like, "Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na." You're not gonna know it.
And then
Okay.
Zoe said, "I don't know much about you." Yeah. Okay. So that was.
They don't know much about each other. They get a date where they can't talk, and Grant says maybe we are what we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I think we as viewers are leaving this date being like, it's not Zoe.
Yeah, but
we
they-
love you, Zoe, but it's not gonna be you.
They do overnights. They have a beach morning talk. She feels good. He's happy. I just feel like, I mean, she goes home.
Yeah,
So,
she goes home. And
so
I
ma-
think
and
it's-
we're also, I guess, like we could like,
look, she didn't get a one-on-one date.
Yeah.
I personally can't move past that. I can't see the person who doesn't get a one-on-one date before hometowns ending up with the lead.
that will happen eventually.
You think it'll happen eventually after 25 seasons of The Bachelor? 25, 30? What are we at?
Not only do I think it happens, I think it happens next season now.
I hope so. I hope so.
feel like
That would really throw me for a loop.
Okay, and then we have last up is Latia.
Latia and Katie. I love Katie so much. I think she does such a good job in this conversation.
You're
I love
biased.
Latia
I like Katie too, but
'Cause
she's a Canadian.
I know,
yeah.
guys. I'm biased towards Canadians.
You are.
But that's fine.
But Katie's great. Katie's great, and I really like the way she approached this conversation. She had such a zest. No, but she really, I would have felt so good about myself in this experience and where I am and just feeling okay with all of it
Mhm.
after this conversation. I think that's really important. I kind of relate it to like just being in paradise when Dean and Caitlin
Yeah, I
came
was gonna
down.
say.
And I didn't think like I would be affected by anything like that, but it really did make me feel like, okay, like we're in a bubble. This is crazy, but like
But it
it also-
translates out there.
it also works.
Yeah, it works. It works. And Latia kind of talks about the fact that she doesn't want to hear about the other dates, which obviously is very relatable to what Katie went through. For if you didn't watch, Zach was the Bachelor during Fantasy Suites. He declared, "I'm not going to sleep with anyone." And then Katie got the third date, and he told her he was intimate with someone, which it was literally just a total mess of a situation. So she really went through the ringer, and I think Latia was like, "Look." Kind of the same mentality as Katie, right? Everyone goes into Fantasy Suites with a different mentality. We really see people on all ends of the spectrum. And Katie and Latia seem to be aligned in their sense of like, whatever happens, happens. I don't want to know about it because I don't want to spend our time talking about your other relationships or for me to be mad at you. I'm going to just turn a blind eye while we're here. And if we end up together, we will face it together when we have, unlimited time to unpack and talk through everything that went down on this journey in this kind of isolated, unusual experience. So I think Latia actually left it with like a lot more confidence and like a game plan moving forward on how she was going to approach this date with Grant. And I think it went really well.
Yeah. And it's probably like the best game plan you could have. Like
Yeah.
it's probably the healthiest approach.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But she calls it, this is not honesty hour, which I thought was funny, but they go on the zip line for their date.
Fun, great. She gets
She gets
nauseous,
a little sick, but
which is not like like being not I'm like being nauseous is the
It's the
worst.
worst feeling. It's like
And then
being
like
nauseous is number one, and then having a sore throat is number two.
and then on like your date that's supposed to, like this is like the sexiest date
Or
of all of them,
it's
right?
meant to
Like
be.
it's meant to be. It's overnights. It's the first time you are
Yeah.
potentially gonna be having sex with I don't know what's wrong with me. It's they're
Look,
you don't want to be nauseous.
You don't want to
That's
be
all.
nauseous. You don't want to have tummy troubles. You want to feel sexy and romantic, even if you're not having sex that night.
Yes.
You want it to feel romantic, intimate, like all the things.
Yep.
So she's not feeling great. I think it was Grant that said this, that he wants to bridge the gap from falling in love to being in love. And I thought that was a big statement because we haven't seen him say that with anyone else.
Yeah, and they're hanging out by a cenote.
So gorgeous. This was like the lighting. They both looked amazing. She has such good posture. Oh my God. The one thing I'm nervous about with us being on YouTube now is everyone's going to see that I'm a huncher.
Yeah, but you're there you go.
Thank you. It's not my
Um,
fault. We have a cloud coach.
Latia said she would be open to moving to New York. Should we move to New York? So she's really
She's
thinking.
thinking down the line.
I mean, Latia's
Should be like he's giving her that reassurance that there's a good chance that they end up together, you know? So if I'm her, you have to start thinking down the line like, hey, can this actually work outside of here if I'm going to be the one? You know, am I taking that step with this person with plans in place?
yeah. Out of all these three women, if it's not Latia at the end, I would say she is going to be the one that's the most heartbroken.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Right?
I mean, as a viewer, it really seems like they're locked in.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there was gonna be a Bachelorette season, and if it wasn't Latia, I would say she is guaranteed to be the Bachelorette because it is really seeming like that is gonna be his girl, or it's gonna be a very, very big heartbreak.
She feels so strongly. She says Grant actually doesn't seem into her.
What?
To make planning the perfect beach vacation easier, Beach
From the initial sketch, wedding needs, meaning, love, and jewelry to my mom
1,000 consultants with Gen AI expert.
Experience for first responders. Ready.
or Latia, who we now know are the final two girls. I think New York City, and it's getting dark out.
Organizations on eligible rate plans. Coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Guys, for those watching, we turned a lamp on because it's 7 p.m. in New York City and it's getting dark out.
Do you think Juliana would be the Bachelorette if Grant broke up with her?
Yeah. I think that Juliana or Latia, who we now know are the final two girls, I think either one of them would be very strong bachelorettes.
I mean,
I would
when
love to see either
Juliana
one.
walked out of the limo night one, I thought she was going to be the next Bachelorette.
Yeah, I think you said that
I
when
did.
we did our night one recap, that you felt like she was kind of getting a bachelorette vibe.
I think she could definitely also be the Bachelorette.
Yeah. I just think Latia feels more emotionally. It's hard to tell because
Latia,
Latia,
it seems like-
hard on her sleeve, right? Like Juliana definitely likes him a lot. We just don't. We're just starting to see it, right? Like she's just starting to show those emotions. Where Latia is like, let's get engaged and get married and have babies and move to New York together. So it just feels like it'll be a more drastic heartbreak if he doesn't end up with her, which usually makes for like a big, she's the Bachelorette, like give her redemption moment.
With the information brought to our desk, Latia will have the bigger heartbreak story at the end because we just have so much more. We see that she is fully invested.
Mm-hmm.
Her family is all in. That was like the little bit of hesitation
Right.
Grant had. That's pushed to the side. So like, and let's move to New York. Let's do this. Where Juliana is opening up about her past relationships at this point.
Mhm.
Latia has moved on and is already painting the picture of the future for them. And
Yeah.
the only other person that did that was Parisa with a fucking PowerPoint. So Those would be the two. Those are the two biggest heartbreaks of the season for me.
Latia.
Larissa and potentially Latia.
Potentially Latia, or potentially not. Like, we know either one of them's getting heartbroken, one of them's ending up with Grant.
Grant asks her, "What is your timeline for being a wife and motherhood?" And Latia basically is like, "I'm 31, ideally 2 years." I put in my notes. Grant's like, "That's way too fast." Mentally, I don't know. It's hard because I don't think any of us really know where Grant is with that.
I agree with you. And it's so interesting because, and we have seen this before, but he started the season like, I'm ready, right? Like, I want a wife, I want kids, I want a family. And now that it's in front of him with Latia, I don't feel his certainty or enthusiasm about that happening in such a short period of time. But that also could be because he's undecided on who he's going to end up with, and he doesn't want to start diving into those plans with someone that he may not propose to. But yeah, like, his energy, and we could be totally off, but his energy is kind of giving like, whoa, girl, hold up.
Yeah.
2 years, what?
Well, he doesn't necessarily shut it down. It just doesn't seem like, which is also fair. Like, I mean, it's not like just because he's the bachelor doesn't mean he has to have this expedited timeline. He could be the bachelor. Like, I want to fall in love and I want the beginning
But
of.
he like specifically has a cast of women in their later 20s because he has articulated that he wants to kind of immediately move into that phase of life, and he wants a woman that is ready for it just like he is. So I hope, and I think it's fair to assume, that he, would be ready just like Latia is to kind of get engaged, a year later get married, a year later have kids.
Yeah. And then Latia tells Grant, "Don't tell me about the other girls." And he's like, "I got you. I won't do that."
Yep.
Would you like to join me?
Honestly, that's probably the best thing he's heard.
Yeah, he's like, "That's great.
Amazing. I don't want to. So I'm
Only
glad.
bachelor in the history that would have ever taken that the wrong way would have been Zach. Zach would have been like, "That's not how this is going to go."
No, and I'm going to tell you everything that happened.
I need to get this off my chest. But he's like, "Would you want to go? Here's my room key." And she's like, "I'll go to the room, but we're not having sex."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I respect that," which
Yeah.
is what he has to say. Because if he would have said that's bullshit, people would really hate him.
100%. And so would Latia. Fair.
Fair.
If he said that and people did hate him for it, hate's a strong word, but like, fair.
No, but he seemed genuinely like
I respect it.
I respect it. Like, because he responded right away, and he's like, I'm totally good with that.
Do you think Grant got down with any of the other women?
Yeah.
Really?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
I think yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Grant is a hard read. He's actually gotten like harder to read as the season's gone on.
I do think it's important, though. I do think it's important that Latia still did the overnight, because it is like it's not a secret. Like, you're off mic, so it's the first time you're having an off mic conversation with a person that you're potentially about to end up with. So I think like it would have been foolish to be like, "I don't want to spend the night with you." Like, I think that was important. And I think
this is so random, because I was gonna say, like, I think it would be ridiculous to ever turn down an overnight date unless you're sending yourself home, even if you're not going to be physically intimate. That does not have to be the biggest or only part of your date, or any part of your date. Okay, so the date ends with.
Also, just because Latia was the only one that said, "I'm not going to be intimate with you," doesn't mean the other girls did have sex. Like, you also didn't have to, like, it's something you don't have to disclose. You could still go into the fantasy suite and not bone.
100%. You could go in open to it. You could go in and not say anything till you get in there. Like, we don't know what the other girls' boundaries were. But Grant does say, "I love you."
He said, "I feel like you're my wife and I love you." And I went, "What?" And
he said, "It feels like we're supposed to be together."
And she said, "Love to me means safety, support, understanding and kindness and I love you. And I was like, this is a Hallmark movie and you guys are going to end up together or this is going to be a massive heartbreak.
100%, which I need to stop saying that. I say it way too much on this podcast,
100%.
but 100, yeah.
You say 100% a lot.
I know.
I a lot, but whatever.
I
We're
know.
not
You know,
perfect.
sorry guys.
Don't listen to us if you don't like
You know, you know what was wild is I don't know the last time the lead has said I love you unprovoked to a contestant. Usually we see the contestant say it and then you're on the edge of your seat if the lead is either going to be like, "Oh my god, that makes me so happy to hear. Thank you." Or if they're going to say it back or if they're going to send them home, right? For him to be like, "I love you. You're my wife." If I'm Latia, oh my gosh, done deal. He's obsessed with me and we're getting engaged is where my head goes.
Well, of course. How could you not? How could
But
you not?
I love them together a lot. I think they seem very
And
natural.
she's the last one too, which would make her feel even more confident.
Well, I'm running my ass in a fantasy suite now being like, did you say that to anyone else? Do you love anyone else?
Yeah, I think you would do that, but I don't
This
think
is me. Maybe it's for the best I didn't go to fantasy
Yeah.
suites. I don't know if that's
Like aggressive.
that's a-
aggressive. You're literally yelling at everyone.
questions and I
Yeah.
deserve answers.
Just coming in and yelling. We go to the rose ceremony. Girls are freaking. He eliminates Zoe.
Yeah.
Honestly, Zoe, she fought a good fight. Uphill battle.
Unbelievable
the whole
performance.
time.
Very
She
impressive.
kept it classy at the end.
Very classy. She started off in such a mess this season with so much drama, crawled her way out of it pretty seamlessly with no impact on her relationship, made it to hometowns without a one-on-one date, passed hometowns to fantasy suites, and then left on like a really classy note.
Yeah, she almost did it.
She almost did it. She was so close.
Odds were against her. She is who I would have bet in Vegas because her odds would have been so high. And
to go home or to be at the end?
to be at the end.
Yeah.
Her odds would have been really high, and she made it fun to watch. It was
Yeah.
a Cinderella story, but unfortunately, she gone.
She gone.
And then we see a little, not even a preview into next week. I'm actually surprised they even showed it, but Grant talking to his family.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was a preview
Yeah.
until like 2 minutes in, and then I was like, oh, we're still going.
Seems like him and his dad seems to be in a really good place. They seem to
Mm-hmm.
be in a really good place. I know he's discussed on the season about his father, struggling with addiction, but they seem to be in a great place, which is perfect timing.
Yeah, it was really nice to see his family come all together. We know his parents are divorced, but just to see them all sitting there so happy and proud of Grant and just being there to support him unconditionally was really nice.
And I actually feel like we really got to see just like a real side of Grant because he was really like to us. He's like, I'm fucking torn. Like, I don't know what I'm going
Yeah.
to do. And they're kind of like, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he did say at the end of this episode that because we saw, he said it's Latia and Juliana now, right? We're down to 2. He said he's in love with Juliana. He said he sees her as his wife. And then he said that about Latia. And then Juliana, he said, they're falling in love. But he did say, I'm so close to being in love. He said someone else at this point, but we now know is Juliana. Do I stop here with Latia and just say, like, I'm in love with this girl, let's do it? Or do I move forward and see if Juliana can catch up? Now, he's moving into dangerous territory because it's like you're basically saying, do I leave in love with one person or do I stick around to see if I can get in love with 2 people and then make a decision, which is going to be drastically harder. But Juliana has been such a slow burn that is getting stronger. I could totally understand why he's like, I want to see if this can evolve into something really strong, maybe stronger than what I have with Latia. But
This is want to know what I think?
I do.
If Latia's first place, okay?
Hypothetically,
she's in first.
okay, like right now, like
Right now.
leaving fantasy suites.
Not even leaving, even before overnights.
Mm-hmm.
Before today, Latia is potentially the one.
Yeah.
If she's potentially my one, I feel the strongest about her. And then another woman, Juliana, is starting to like seep in and like really like I'm now becoming torn, I think I go towards Juliana because
Right, because I guess if you were so in love with Latia, you would
That
not
wouldn't
even
happen.
be able to fall in love with Juliana.
that's what I think. I don't know if that's true. That could be bullshit. That could just be like, that's could just be me, or that could just be like what like the romantic way to think about love, and it could all just be a bunch of fucking nonsense. But that's what I think.
I don't totally disagree with you. I think if Juliana is able to catch up and potentially even like an inch surpass where Latia's at, you gotta give that
Yeah.
relationship some serious consideration, because that definitely says something about, slow and steady wins the race. But at this point, I mean, I love Juliana. We had her on the podcast. She's so lovely. But I do see the connection at this point with Latia and Grant looking way stronger. So we'll have to see what happens next episode.
So who do you think it is?
I mean, if you're asking me right now today, I'm saying Latia, but I'm not counting Juliana out of the race yet at all, because I do think you're right. Like, she is still talking about her past relationships, whereas Latia is talking about the future. But I think if Juliana can get to that point, if his family loves her, if they have a few more like strong, intimate conversations, there's a chance for her. Because if it was going to be Latia, I think there's a good shot that Juliana will get sent home next week, like early in the episode. You know what I mean? Like, I think he would sleep on it and be like, no, I'm so in love with Latia. I see a future with her. I'm committed to her. I'm going to let Juliana go. And if he doesn't do that, I think that says something about where he thinks his feelings for Juliana could go, which is, I think, past Latia.
I think it's going to be Juliana.
Really?
And I think that I've been saying this whole time, Latia and him have the best connection. She's number one.
They have such a good connection.
I
They really
think
do.
I think it's going to be Juliana. I think Latia's the bigger heartbreak, and I think Latia is still going to be the next Bachelorette if she doesn't end up in a relationship whenever that show gets picked up again. That's my prediction.
I would love to see her as the Bachelorette,
I mean,
but I would love to see either of them. It's kind of like a win-win. Either of them would be really good.
and yeah, that is a Bachelor Happy Hour episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you download and subscribe.
And make sure you check us out on YouTube, on the Bachelor Nation YouTube account, if you want to watch our episodes. And we will be coming at you with a recap and an interview after next week, which is it Grant's finale next week? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we got to go because we're losing light, people.
Yeah, it's getting dark out here.
Goodbye.
Bye.
To make planning the perfect beach vacation easier, Beachbound launched the Perfect Beach Finder quiz. You can search all the destinations for all dates and price points all in one search. The quiz digs into what is important to travelers about their vacation, rendering suggestions based on personal interests. For the traveler that wants to keep all options on the table, the Browse All Beaches tool outlines all destinations available from the predetermined airport in one search. To learn more about Beachbound, visit the website at beachbound.com.
At David's Bridal, love is in every stitch, from the initial sketch to the final details. Each style is designed with exquisite craftsmanship. Now you can turn all your wedding dreams into reality with Pearl by David.
Beachbound, visit the website at beachbound.com.
At David's Bridal, love.
For the traveler that wants to keep all options on the Beach Finder quiz, you can.
But we got to go because we're losing light, people.
Yeah, it's getting dark out here.
Goodbye.
Bye.